All right, guys. Welcome back. This is a new comic book day recap. This time I get to have with me the authors and the creators of Black Cotton, Brian Hawkins and Patrick Foreman. I am so excited that you're here with us, uh, dude.
Glad
You
to be here.
guys are tackling some fun topic with this book. I'm so excited, and I want to just talk to you about it. Just sort of tell me how you. I guess first off, is this your first book? Is this your first time ever writing and everything? Because I know both of you are coming together to do this, but you weren't like best buds or lifelong friends forever. I assume so. How did you guys get hooked up to write this book and that?
Yeah. Well, first, hey, appreciate you having us on here, Chris. And we've been following y'all, and y'all doing some great stuff. But me and Brian, how did we hook up together? In January of last year, 2020, me and Brian, we both have a mutual friend named Luke Wright. He's an author, phenomenal individual. I would go into prisons and we would do speaking engagements together, and he worked with Brian. So in December, me and Luke, we went to Maryland. We were talking, came out of a prison, and I was like, look, man, I've always collected comic books. I'm a collector of comic books. I said, but I got this concept that I want to do as a comic book. And he was like, hey, I got a friend who's been in the game for years, He was like, I'll introduce you to him, and hey, we'll see what happens. So me and Luke, we did an interview. We were interviewing somebody at my church. It was a Sunday, and he reached out to Brian, and Brian met us at a Roadhouse. So we had, and we were sitting there, and the whole time it was so funny because it was like somebody in between me and Brian.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to Brian about comic books, but I got this person in between. So they had to make a phone call. And as soon as they left, I was like, yo, I got this comic book idea. So I started telling Brian about the comic book concept, and I was like, everything's reversed. I was like, even the cotton is black. And he was like, yo, wait. That's it right there, black cotton. And that's really what started everything. We clicked from moment one. From day one, we went from lunch back to my place and kept on revolving and really breaking down how black cotton was going to be. And then we started grinding from there. And the beauty part about this whole story is I had never, like I said, I'm a collector. I had never, I guess you could say now I'm a writer, but I had never written a comic book, didn't know where to start. But Brian, kudos to Brian. I tell him all the time, that he's a genius, and I appreciate his, because he taught me how to write, formulate, how to do everything. So now here we are with Black Cotton, and this is his first collaboration with somebody else. He's written got several comic books coming out this month. Matter of fact, tomorrow got 3 comic books coming out?
Yeah. How the heck did you swing that? I'm going to release 3 on one day. I mean, you're trying to pull a Kate's on us?
Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing because, now we're able to write at the same time, and we collaborate. We truly support each other. So that's how we started. But go ahead, Brian, add whatever.
No, I mean, there's nothing to add on to that. That's how it began, and and it's just only it's only grown from there. So it's an awesome collaboration. And it's perfect.
So I'm gonna throw up an image from the book, and it's gonna sort of cover us up for a second. But I want to show, because this is what blew me away when. First off, I was blown away because you see the cover, and if people haven't seen the cover, I'll throw it up real fast. So there's the cover of the book, and you guys, you'll see it. I have an article that's going to be following with all the different covers, and we'll talk about it. I'm sorry, Patrick. What happens is the book, it throws it around across your face. So I don't want to throw it very long. I mean, you're beautiful and everything, but I want to show the art and everything like that.
Pretty.
But I was blown away because, of course, you have the color book, and then you open it up, and the very first images you have is this. Well, sorry, second page. Second page of your book, and it's all black and white. And was that on? I know that you guys aren't the artist, but was that a decision that you all made, or was that a decision Marco made?
Go ahead.
That was a decision. Yeah. That was something that we talked about early on, when we were in that concept phase, and like we were visualizing, and we knew from the beginning that we wanted it to be black and white with gray tones. So yeah, that's definitely part of the storytelling. And Marco, what he did with, in our discussions with him, and with the script, he's just, brought this world to life. It's exactly how we visualize it. And it's, it's nothing short of magic for us, to see him, bring it to life like that. But yeah.
And here's what I'll say. During our discussions, me and Brian, because we've had long hours of discussion, especially at the beginning phase of everything. But it was important to us to remove color from the experience, because when you read Black Cotton, we want you to actually have an experience, and we want, when you get to the end, to almost be pissed off at us that the story has ended. Yeah. And the only way you can truly have that experience is by us removing color from it, so that, like for an example, people of color, subconsciously, when we read something or look at something, we look at the shades. Why aren't they blacker? Why aren't they lighter? It just automatically, we look at the shades, and it will take us away from the words or the topic or the subject that we're looking at. So we didn't want people, when they read Black Cotton, to have to focus so much of their attention on that or the subject that we're trying to get to them. So we removed it so that their experience is truly full force throughout the entire. You might go through the whole book, and at the end you're like, wow, I just noticed that I don't know.
Well, I do have to say, though, I mean, Marco did a great job of, you can still tell who's supposed to be a black person, who's supposed to be a white person. He did a great job. You can tell just by facial features and different things. It's the things that distinguish our races or whatever, even without the skin color. Like, he did a great job of doing that, and I appreciated that throughout. But I want to go back to that image that I showed at first before we jump further into the book, because this is image number 2. The first page is amazing. The second page, though, takes me to, and I hate to admit this, but I'm a 6'4" white guy. The first time that I thought of a person in a hoodie was Trayvon Martin. Right on. I don't know if that's intentional, but that image is what I thought of when I saw that. And the role reversal of that, going, okay, because Trayvon Martin was the first time I ever thought about this, because I was a Miami Heat. I'm a LeBron guy. So I was a Miami Heat fan at the time, and was, okay, they brought full awareness to a world, because I was a kid out of college who, lucky enough, hadn't had to deal with, because of my skin color, because of where I grew up, I didn't have to deal with what you're talking about when you're going into the prison ministry and all that type of stuff. I hadn't been around it. So to see that image go, oh, LeBron and Dwayne Wade and those guys brought me awareness of the unfairness of society.
Right.
And it was, but that's the first thing I thought of when I saw it. I don't know I hope that was intentional, or I'm misreading this book completely, and I need to stop and go back and reread it 3 more times.
No.
Yeah. You want to say?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and I'll let Brian, tag in. It definitely was intentional. Something that even during our talks, going back to concept, me and Brian, something I had mentioned to him was that I wonder why it was such a hard decision for people. I said, what if it was a girl that was being followed? Would people have had the same narrative? And that's why we really kind of started it off like that and flipped it, because now you're looking at it through other people's eyes and what other people, other cultures, are saying. Why was this so hard? If it was a female, we all would have said that pervert was following a female and he needs to be locked up.
Yeah.
Trayvon was a child, and it was a grown man following a child, approached a child. So it shouldn't have been that hard. But that's just some of the things that we also bring to the world through Black Cotton, because it's a safe environment. Like, you were able to read it, have that realization in a safe environment. Nobody was attacking you. Nobody was, giving you feedback. You were able to have that dialogue with yourself. And then look what came about, which is exactly what we want. Conversation. Me, you, and Brian are able to talk about this.
You're making me so happy right now, because the reason I like this book so much is because it creates an opportunity for dialogue. It creates an opportunity for conversation. When I actually picked up a copy last week at my shop, because the way Scout releases their books, so they come early and shops are like, I'm just gonna sell it now. But I was in the shop. It was Wednesday. It was everyone's buying books, and I was there, and all of a sudden there's a stack of Scout books sitting right there, and it was this cover here was sitting there, which I was stoked. I was like, dude, I really wanted this cover. It's the web store exclusive, and they had bought some and they had them on the rack, and it was myself, and there's a tall Black guy who drops several $100s on comic books every week, and he just loves everything. He buys it all. But he saw that book, and he leaned over to the guy he was talking to. I'm not sure how well he knew him, and just started telling him about the book. Wow. And then I realized it was a good book, and we ended up having a dialogue based on, we didn't want to reveal what we knew was going on in the book, but we loved the tagline. And then he looked at me, and we made eye contact, going, how cool is it to think of a world where the roles are reversed? And then from there, where would you go from there? And I'm curious to see where it's going to go from there, because you have the traumatic scene that happens in the first 2 pages, and then the rest is the after effects so far. Now, I know it's going someplace. You get that impression, but you throw in the fact that not only was this guy a cop that shot a Black cop who shot a white girl in a world where the Blacks have all the power. It's a wealthy guy from a wealthy-to-do family who's, from the looks of it, is a guy who wants to just make a difference in the world and doesn't agree with the way the world is set up, and he's screwed up. But Daddy wants to fix everything, because you can't we don't want to affect the brand name, and we don't want to mess up the. You're throwing in so many elements at the same time of not only it being strictly because of a racial issue, because it's not. I mean, our world it's not just race. It's never race. It is a lot of race, but it's a lot about wealth and poverty.
Absolutely.
And so much of, I mean, shoot, right? I mean, if we go too far down the political thing, no one's going to watch the video. But you open up that conversation. I love that that you're doing that. How do you play that balance of not upsetting your potential fans before they even get through the book? Because you're in a delicate balance of, because ideally you want a book where anyone picks it up and wants to read it because of the quality of the story, and not because your tagline says we're going to flip the blacks and whites and everything's going to be different.
Right. Go ahead, Brian.
That's a great question. It's a great question. And I'm gonna try to answer it, as precisely as possible. But like, one of the big things that Patrick and I, that we talk about is the human condition. I like to allude it to like Shakespeare. Like, the reason why Shakespeare is so, like, people is galvanized by Shakespeare, and why it's still taught in schools, is really because he was able to write to the human condition. He was able to, no matter what culture or race, he had a mixed pot of a lot of different characters, and they all ended up representing and reflecting us, what we see in ourselves. And the one thing that is so interesting about what we think is interesting about the human condition and humans in general is that, whether consciously or subconsciously, we all have an ego. We all are self-centered, and we all want this world to really be about us. So storytelling, when it goes at the human condition, all it is doing is holding up a mirror for us to see ourselves. And we like to see ourselves. Even if we don't want to admit it consciously, subconsciously, we like to see ourselves.
We don't want to see the flaws. We don't.
We
Show me my flaws.
we want to see everything because, maybe we don't want to actually deal with it immediately ourselves. So we want to see it. And then something happens, and we, if we grab hold of it and we're challenged the right way, then our perception might change, and then our actions might change, and our being might change. And so what we're attempting to do with Black Cotton is hold up a mirror. I feel it's very Shakespearean in that, we are trying to capture the human condition, and the vehicle of doing that. And it says it in the tagline where, it's the social order of white and Black. It doesn't say race, it's social order. And so we're looking at the construct of what that means, white and Black. And so with that, we're looking at the human condition, because from the human condition, we produce social classes and et cetera, et cetera. And those are the ills that really affect our society. Race is a vehicle. And so that's how we're trying to balance it out, not necessarily to attack a race or to just flip race. It's a look at what is social constructs and social order, what race is a vehicle.
Yeah, and let me say just this real short bit too, because you also asked how do me and Brian, skirt that line. And what I'll say, I'll let people in on something. Me and Brian have went to battle, sometimes, because exactly what he says, all of us have implicit bias. And the key is to identify your implicit bias. So there was one time where we were writing and we were talking about Zion, and he was like, you're trying to protect Zion. And after our discussion, I was like, wow, you're right. I'm trying to protect this character, which was limiting how we could show the mirror and how people could really see Zion and the how the elements, how the environment is affecting him, and how they could really attach to Zion. So even during our process, we are realizing our own implicit bias, and we have to be mindful of that as we write the story. Because if we put our own implicit bias in, then it will dilute the story and the effect that can also, the desired effect of Black Cotton. The vehicle.
Well said, bro. Well said, bro. Well said. Yes.
So I'm like, feel like I'm getting a lesson here, which no, I like it. It's because this book does what we're doing right now. It creates a dialogue. It creates this opportunity to converse on things, because it was interesting. I have a new release little video. It's only like 10 minutes long. I have like 100 people that might watch it. It's not even that big of a deal, but I had someone put a comment because they were so upset that I liked this book because of the shoot. I had to pull up the comment because he said something I had never heard before: virtue signaling. And he called it, and he was just basically the cancel culture is the phrase everyone uses these days, and all that entire. I'm like, that's first off, you haven't read the book yet, unless you're like me and got lucky and was able to get a copy. So you don't even know what the book's about. You just read the tagline and you didn't like the tagline.
Exactly.
And so much and we do this all the time, and I do this. No telling how many headlines I read and I stop. and that's all I read. And then you read, and then how often I get mad when I actually read the article and it has nothing to do with that stupid headline. The headline is there as clickbait, and it's supposed to draw it. And just like the phrase that you guys use, or that Scout used, or whatever you guys decided on to sell your book, that's what the book has in it. But that doesn't necessarily define what the book is about. That doesn't define. And so many of our books are like that. You want it to be close enough to where, yes, that is the case. But you guys, at least in the first issue, all you did was switch places, or the social order has changed. You don't do anything where you're playing on, okay, I'm going to pick on a white guy because he's a white guy. I'm going to call him a wigger or whatever you want to. I'm not doing any of that type of stuff. That's not in your book at all.
No,
you're just, hey, we're changing up that. And now we're going to tell a story of the reality of how to deal with this terrible thing that happens on page 2.
Absolutely.
And what are the consequences?
That's why I tell people all the time. I said it has these built-in experiences that will cause you to challenge some perceptions that you have, but it's all wrapped around a great, phenomenal story, because we want you to be entertained. You know, are you not entertained? That is the one question that we're going to consistently ask, you know, because if you're not, then we're not doing our job. You know, it's not a book to attack or make fun of another culture. It's not one of those. You know, we've seen countless shows like that, and we're tired of it. We're tired of, you know, just the whole flip and you just making fun of cultures. No, I mean, we want to give you quality work.
And the other say, I felt like from the first book, because I of course don't know where book 2 is. I have to wait till May to see that, anyways. But you guys have accomplished that. I want to read. I want to see where the story goes. And this is not your typical superhero book. This is not your. Right now, it's not a crime book. And I mean, yes, a crime happens, but it's not a Ed Brubaker. This is let's figure out who done it. We know who done it. So it's it's a matter of what happens next, and but it's not boring. I don't know how you accomplished the story. I mean, because that's the thing. You're telling a story. It's a life story. It intrigues me. And it intrigues me not because I was going to talk to you guys. It intrigues me because of where you're going with it. And the black and white art contributes to that so much of some of it. Like, and I want to show another image that the image alone speaks. I love this image. Yeah. And I mean, Marco did it again. Like, he was like, whoa, he's throwing this one in here. And they're subtle. And it's not throughout the entire book. I picked out the traumatic images, but that doesn't mean that throughout the entire book, and that's a small panel in their book. Actually, it's not the entire splash page or whatever. It's a panel on the page. It's a great panel on the page. And I like blowing it up big so you can look at some of the more details of the subtleness of taking something that was all over the news all summer long. And how you guys flipped it and said, okay, let's look at it from the other side. I mean, does it shock you? Does it anger you? Is it just something? Yes, they have a right to do this within the story. And you're like, well, I mean, if I'm truly just reading it because I'm trying to identify who these characters are, because you still haven't told me the girl's story at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's coming.
It's coming though.
I want to know that. Like, I'm like, hold on a second. I still don't know any details. I just know. Yeah. And I mean, I just know what happened. And then, but hey, guess what? That's life. Nothing happens immediately. Like we don't get episodes of Law and Order. I mean, so I mean, it's not solved by the dun dun at the end of the show.
Right.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Very well said. Yeah. You're spot on. You were spot on.
So,
and it's
Yeah, I think we're excited. We're just as excited as our fans and our fans to come for you to actually catch up to us with the story. Because it blows our mind, to be honest. As me and Brian are doing this and we start mapping everything out, we're like, whoa, oh man, this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
How long have you had the first issue done?
Oh man.
Yeah.
We've had it done
Since last August?
Maybe July, August, maybe.
Wow. So you guys have been sitting on this all the way to February, and then you get to finally talk about this. And now you have to wait to May.
Yeah.
We are itching about the May thing because like what comes next, and it was cool because our editor, shout out Andrea, like, we finally got to like have conversation some about what's next. And just hearing his feedback of where, someone outside of us knowing where the story's going and his feedback and, how he feels about it, it felt good. Now we're just like, oh man, we wish that, we could just release this next month because, we definitely want readers who pick up Black Cotton 1, to, get that satisfaction of knowing what comes next in a story that premise really sets up like, what is this? Wait a second, like, okay, I understand what you can do in one issue, but like, where could this story really go?
Yeah.
And I think that's the big question. And the fact that, we've gone through the process and we know what that content is, it really makes us excited, but also very anxious because we do feel that, it's not like a one issue, quote unquote, hit wonder. We are really in the business of storytelling. And we're fortunate that, Black Cotton, is the story that we are telling. And there is a story. It's a full story. It's an ongoing story. So
it's a whole reality, a whole world. And I think another thing that we're excited about is we have some phenomenal artists. I mean, with Marco and Marcello, man, because Marcello did the one that you held up with Kia on the cover. And
cover.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous
Someone
cover.
on Instagram.
I kept trying to find her in the book. I'm like, maybe this is her, but I'm like, where did she show up?
He spruced her up. They're like, here's her in color.
So I'm gonna tell you something that nobody else knows, and I hope Brian don't get mad at me.
Uh-oh.
But
you better start texting him on the side. Can I say this?
I'm gonna tell you something that you and your fans will be the first to know, and give them something to look forward to. Issue 5 and 6 will be.
You're pulling Donnie Cates on us, where you're going to go. You have to read through the next 4 issues. 5 and 6, they get married. Boom.
No, but they're going to be connecting covers. So,
nice.
And we're going to have Marco and Marcello do, 2 sets of connecting covers. So they're going to be able to see some gorgeous comics. I mean, the covers, we can't wait. We're like, oh man,
that's the collector talking right there.
That does sound. I do have to say though, Scout doing this wait 2 months, I joke on it. It frustrates me a little bit. From talking to James Hake or whatever, the results from the sales helped people. The word of mouth on certain books, like the Recount, they went to second printing, and the second printing did really well. And now issue 2 comes out the exact same time your book comes out tomorrow, and it's like, yes, okay, that makes sense. It doesn't work for every book, but that doesn't mean that every book was going to be successful either way. But word of mouth, because stores, people like me, other podcasters are reaching out to you guys, and you guys you get 2 months or a month or longer to sell your book and get out there and say, hey, I want my book to be heard. I want it to be on the tips of every blogger's top 10 list for that week. I mean, I want it to be there. So how do I do that? Well, I call them, I text them, I email them, I post in the Scout Facebook page. That's how I forgot Brian's name. He was posting he posted all the covers, and I was like, oh heck yeah, I want to talk to him. He has the stock of books. I was like, that's awesome. because I think you even got the Hive comic ones and all the different covers all at one time. I was like, dude. But yeah, no, I think the way Scout's doing it, I do appreciate it. And I think you guys popping on, I guess I'm probably your third or fourth show that at least that you guys have been on.
We're talking about this week.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, I can't tell on Facebook how many you've been on or whatever.
No, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a few.
Yeah. We've been fortunate.
Yeah.
We've been fortunate in two ways. One, with obviously the connections that Brian already has made throughout his, decades, in the business. We've been fortunate, with the other audience that I've been able to make, because I don't know if you know, but I put an album out, won an award in 2020, and then I'm retired. Yeah, retired Marine. So I have different audience, but then Scout, just all the resources that they gave us too. And me and Brian, we've been grinding. We've really been utilizing this time. So
I think it's paying off. Like, I mean, as far as, because like even like on, like I sort of said, my site, I mentioned it in my thing that I do, the new comic book day. I told you guys before we started recording. Then it was mentioned on our Indie Spotlight, and then it was mentioned on Show Pressable Defects, which my list goes to. I didn't talk to anyone beforehand. We didn't coordinate it. We all picked your book as one of our books that we like. So you got people from different worlds, different things. We're from all over the country. We're all excited about the potential of this book and where it could go. I am bummed it's not till May, just because I'm like, crap, I read it early. Now I even have a longer time than if I had gotten it yesterday or tomorrow. But I'm excited about this book. And guys, I've tracked down the covers. Please help me figure out if there's more that I'm missing, because you guys have killed it. So I'm going to throw them up there. Of course, you got the ash can, which I love. I love this, especially knowing that the art inside's all black and white. Then you got the main cover that's there. Then you have the web store.
Yep.
Web store exclusive. Then you have, let's see, this is about the trade. This is the CBSN comic book shopping network, which Scout struck a deal with. So every one of their releases has a cover that comes out. This one actually has trade across the top of it. The only image I could find was the Virgin image. Then you have Far Side, the foil cover.
Yep.
And see this is where this cover threw me off from what the book ended up being, just because the image is blood on his hands.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not. And then of course I was expecting color and didn't get color. So I was like, that doesn't help me at all. I understand it from all those fancy literacy terms or whatever, like what it actually means. And then my favorite, where'd it go? Is Hives. There it is. Just because of the one splash of color.
That's the one that my wife loves.
I love that cover. It's a great, and it's high. It's also affordable. Like I love variants that are only like $15. I'm like, I can go buy that one. It doesn't cost me an arm and leg. It's for me. I don't have to buy 20 of them. I can buy one and just be happy with the cover. So I like all those. Are there any more? Did I miss any?
There's one, and it's on the back of Hive Comics. That one, because what happened was Neil Nelson. He's the artist who did it. So during our talks, he was playing around, and he did the cover that you showed, right?
Yeah,
did black cotton. He just sent over it was a red stem with black.
Oh, I have. Okay. So I've seen that. It's a gorgeous little like emblem.
Right. So me and Brian, we were like, yo, that's dope. So Hive Comics, what they did is they did 60. It's only 60 of them. And it's a metal cover.
I did see. Okay, so the metal has that on, or is the metal only that?
Yes.
Ooh, I did not know that. I love that. I will try to throw that into the actual video when I edit it. But because it was a great little image. I thought it was just like the back of the cover just went up and did that. So that's okay.
Yeah. So that's the 7 basically covers that we have out there.
So, but that's, guys, I'm excited. I'm so excited about the book. It's one of those, like, I don't want to go reveal things, even though I probably revealed more than I probably should have talking to you guys, just being excited about it.
It's okay. It's okay.
I like what you have going on. Thank you so much for meeting with me and just sitting there and talking your book, talking about where you came from and how you got to this point. Guys, it is a conversation starter.
It is.
For just to grab it off the shelf and say, there's been books come out but most of the time it's Spider-Man did this, or I mean, like, there's classic stories out there, but to have a book that has no superhero connection, has nothing to do with that, but is a reflection of our times. It's a mirror of what's going on, and how do you talk about those things, especially in a polarized world. I appreciate you guys having the courage to write it, and then also get up and talk about it and tell people about it and go, yo, this is what we got going on. We want to talk to you. We will reach out. Hey, let's podcast. Let's shoot the bull about this. If you want to go deeper, I'm assuming you guys will gladly, since you go to prison ministries and church things, you will gladly sit down and go, let's get into the issues actually behind this.
Right.
I don't want to do this on our show, but maybe when I hit end record, we can talk. But it's one of those things, like, we need that. We need the ability as a society to talk and have a medium to talk about and bring those reflections, just like SNL can do it. They can reflect things on us, or who used to be Key and Peele used to do really good sketches where they would bring attention to issues that were hard to talk about, and they did a really good job of bringing those attentions to it, and I appreciated that. And sometimes I didn't have a clue what the issue was because I hadn't experienced it, but I understood it a little more after watching the sketch. Mm-hmm. That's the same thing with this book. You bring attention to something from a perspective that, okay, I understand that a little bit more, though I don't quite understand it because I will never be that white girl in a hoodie getting shot by a cop. That's never going to be me. I'm not a girl. So, right. I mean, I'm 6'4" white guy. That's a little bit, I'm the guy who people run from usually. But no, I'm teddy bear is what my wife says. I'm not a scary guy. So don't be scared of me now.
I believe
but yes, thank you guys so much for being on here. Once again, this is comicbookinvest.com. So
hey, thank you, Chris.
Thanks for having us, for real. It's been awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.